Okay, hello. I'm gonna review Monsters University, okay, so I saw it at the cinemas, and I remember when I heard they were gonna make it, I felt really weird, when, like an unnecessary sequel. Do they really need to make a prequel to Monsters Inc? Is it gonna be any good? Are they just making it for money? That's the sort of thing you question. Even like when Empire Strikes Back was made, you could say, is this gonna be as good as Star Wars? It was Sequels are rarely as good. So those cases where they're as good is kind of big surprise, like The Godfather Part 2, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, even The Evil Dead 2. I don't know. Anyway, I thought I did enjoy it, but I watched it again. It's still all right. I think it has some flaws. I think it has too many one-off jokes. My favorite kinds of comedy I find a lot of the time are humor where it's based on characters and situations. And I think Monsters Inc. has a lot of that. I really find Mike Wazowski inherently funny. Um, and same with Sully Wally. And hey, Celia Wheelia. It has so many awkward, funny moments. 2319. Yeah, I think Monsters Inc. is a classic. So Monsters University, I think, is one thing that's good is it's a different kind of movie. It's not trying to repeat Monsters Inc. like some sequels, like Home Alone 2, which is just the same as Home Alone. And I'm not saying it's that bad necessarily, but there are lots of movies that just repeat the formula. This one, it's also interesting. It reminds me a bit of like Revenge of the Nerds or something. I haven't seen many movies actually that are set in like universities. I would think of a lot of sex comedies and stuff, like, because it's like, yeah, with teenagers or people around that age, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, like movies about them at college. Um, anyway, okay, I like the music by Randy Newman. He did all of the Pixar movies for like quite a while. I think, okay, Toy Story, A Bug's Life, which I really like. I think that one's underrated. Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., and then Finding Nemo, I think, was the first one he didn't do. Someone else with the name Newman did it. Hang on. Yeah, I think it's Thomas Newman did Finding Nemo. He also did American Beauty. Anyway, I really like the music overall in this one, Monsters University. It's got some really cool, upbeat sort of music. It's a bit different from other movies, so I like that. It's anything that makes it unique. But yeah, there's a lot of little jokes like the snail. I don't want to be late for class and then running, and then the mother with her music. She's got like death metal playing, which is funny, but it doesn't really fit in with anything else. I don't like isolated jokes that much. I actually think they slow down a movie, or they don't. If they don't add anything, they can become really old, and I felt that a little bit. And I'm not sure how I feel. If I was to watch it again, I like this guy here, this dude. I think a lot of people probably find him funny. I didn't recognize his voice the first time, but yeah, Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I find him funny. And again, some of those parts are funny, but it doesn't seem to fit in as much with the rest of the movie. But anyway, I do think still the animation is really good. The storytelling is still very good, and the characters are still enjoyable and funny. And it has some nice messages. I think there are a few things like Mike Wazowski. It's sort of a big step for him to. There's a few things. There's this repeating. I don't know what you call it, like a motif where he crosses a line, and I think that's really cool. When he's a kid, he's like, "I found a penny or found a nickel," whatever it is. Um, when they go to watch the scarers, and it's like a line they can't cross, and then later on, when he goes to university, it's a big deal to take that first step. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Your first day of something is like a big deal. Later on, you may take it for granted. Like I teach all the time, but my first day teaching was a bit like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm ready for this. What am I gonna, it can be nerve wracking. And then after that, it's like nothing. You get used to it. That's what life's about. I also like that the movie shows you don't always get to things the way you think you will. The fact that Mike and Sully have all these problems, all these ups and downs, it's very messy in a way. Even the fact that Sully admits that he cheated at the end, he didn't need to do that. And the movie, it's kind of cool. It has a lot of my favorite movies. I think good movies tend to have sort of almost these multiple endings. They have like almost like a conventional ending, but then there's more stuff. They like multiple climaxes. So, for example, The Sixth Sense, which is difficult. I don't want to spoil it, but is kind of a big um, climax in terms of the story where you're like, what? Oh my god! It keeps going. The movie doesn't just end. There's more an emotional resolution or climax as well, which is very meaningful. The Dark Knight has the big confrontation with the Joker. Again, I'm trying not to spoil. But then there's also another scene with other characters, which is significant, and which is, yeah, you've got one sort of the action story climax, and the other's more of an emotional resolution or something. I don't know. It's kind of gets so Monsters University has that. It has the big conventional competition ending where they, okay, they win, right? But then it turns out, oh, they cheated, and then this other extra thing happens, which I think is actually really effective. It really works. It's more of the personal thing. Mike Wazowski trying to prove himself. It still felt a bit weird, like it cheats, like but it's an animated movie. It doesn't have to make perfect sense. I think that's fine. I did find it funny that it had these conventional creepy things of horror movies, like this little doll moving along. It's also funny that the kids are just completely not scared of Mike Wazowski at all. Like that's hilarious. I love that concept, especially. But again, in Monsters Inc., I love that the concept is so beautiful that laughter is 10 times more powerful than scream energy or whatever, something like that. And the fact that he tells jokes, they don't even laugh at his jokes. He has to just swallow the microphone and then burp it out. And the kid laughs hysterically. I guess another theme is like popularity. You've got the whatever these guys are. That group. Randall's kind of a nerd. I guess that's kind of interesting, and then he ends up with the other group. I thought that was maybe a bit cliched, but maybe there's a lot of truth to that, where someone who's sort of nerdy gets this chance to get a connection, this bigger thing, and then that ends up shaping who they are, and then they become evil or just kind of a jerk. But I don't know how much truth there is to that. And then yeah, all these other guys, the double head. It's very cool that Dave Foley was in it, and these people. The fact that they're all kind of losers, a bit like Guardians of the Galaxy. They're misfits, but together they could actually work and do really good things together. It's also funny how Mike Wazowski and Sully really clash. Sully's really arrogant. I don't think it's obvious that you expect that to be the way that they do it, but I think overall it works well, and it makes their friendship more meaningful. They both kind of meet each other in the middle, maybe. Mike Wazowski realizes some of the reality that no matter how good he is, it's going to be tough for him to scare. That's not what he's built for. I think that's a sort of tragic realization for a lot of people. What what you are passionate about, what you're sort of good at in your mind, and what you're physically capable of or suited to, which, I mean, I don't know. It's good if we can start being more open-minded and realizing, someone that doesn't look conventionally beautiful can end up being a model or being whatever. I don't know. And it's interesting with Sully, he's born into the fame or the skills that his parents have, or that his father, I think, in particular. But then that also puts a lot of pressure on him, and he doesn't necessarily have the other academic skills to match it. So it's an interesting duality between them. And yeah, so I think the movie is pretty cool and interesting. It's not bad at all. I just thought parts of it could have been a little bit deeper. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Let me think. Yeah, I mean, I still think it's very good. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's still a very good movie. Pixar only makes really, really good movies. Cars and Cars 2 are probably my least favorite. And this one, considering it is sort of a prequel, I think it's quite creative and adds quite a bit. Enough that I would be interested if they made another Monsters movie, Monsters Primary School or Monsters, if they had an idea, if there was a story to be told. And yeah, it'd be really cool if they had, a totally different situation, maybe years later. I think that's pretty cool. There aren't many movies like that where you've got a movie and then like a prequel that was made 10 years or whatever later, and it's actually a totally different story, but it works pretty well, and maybe they can enhance each other. Yeah, I think there's a lot of creativity again as well, like with the games that they have and the way that the monsters keep. I mean, forget what their team was. OK, Omega, Kappa, or something. Hang on. I don't know. I found that funny. All the teams were like Raw, Omega Raw, or something. Pink. They all had names relating to what they were like, the monsters. Um, yeah, just anything like that, where there's lots of little, you know what I mean? Like, Monsters University doesn't rip off other things in terms of the characters. You can't take one of the characters and say, that's just the same as this other character. It's all unique and kind of interesting, and there's lots of funny moments. So, and yeah, a nice message. I actually really like some of that idea. You could really feel Mike's vulnerability and also Sully's. You realize they're not that much different. They're both scared. They both have pressure on them to perform a certain way, and they both have something they want to do and weaknesses. And then it's kind of cool that they then work together. It's also a nice message where you have two different people. You can either work against each other, it cause more problems, or you can work cooperatively and achieve much more. Anyway, so I'll leave it there. Monsters University, I don't know what I'd give it, maybe 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10, which isn't, most Pixar movies I give 10 out of 10. So in a way, that's not as good. But anyway, okay, bye.